Gratcast underway. Got a guest host this week.
Woo!
Jenny Peyatt in studio.
Hey guys.
Jenny, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be part of the show.
Well, Jenny, you're a music supervisor.
Yeah.
We're going to get into all of that type of stuff about your career and how you got there and all of that kind of a little bit later in the show. But let's get a little background on Jenny. What's an average week for Jenny like? What'd you do?
Oh man, average week for Jenny is all over the place. So this week we are just working on a new scripted TV show that will be coming out this year. It hasn't been announced yet, but awesome. It's coming. It's a comedy. It's definitely something people are going to love. But this week was just working on some last-minute replacement tracks. So whether it's, digging in my library, reaching out to publishers, labels, and songwriters, looking at my budget.
So for anybody that doesn't know, what exactly would a replacement track be? I guess we're gonna dive right in a little early here on this type of stuff.
So a replacement track would be, say you're a filmmaker and you're like, oh my God, I love Beyonce. This comes up a lot. But I only have a certain amount of money for budget. So I'm like, okay, great. You love Beyonce. The scene needs X, Y, Z. What do you love about Beyonce? You love the build. You love the lyric content. You want a female vocal, a little bit of R&B pop. All right. So we're going to go from there. And basically what I do, part of my job, is to go through and find songs that will clear within your budget to give you the creative vision that you were talking about with that original Beyonce track that maybe you can't afford for $100,000 aside, and maybe you only have $3,000 aside. So that's only $6,000 for the type of music you need for the rights the studio requires you to have.
So something that kind of triggers the same mood and vibe, but it's not the star power of Beyonce.
No, but when you're listening to music or you're watching a TV show and there's that song, you're just like, oh, there's that montage. The person just ran away with their ex-boyfriend and left the groom at the altar, and you have that feel, and you just feel that man's sadness. The type of song in there really helps say what the character can't say versus if the talking. So it adds to that.
I got a couple questions about creating the mood and all of that kind of vibe with.
We got a hi from Dylan Smalls Hunt.
I was just gonna get there.
Hi.
Dylan, thanks for joining in and jumping on and watching the show. It's my cousin in Pennsylvania checking in.
Hey, Dylan.
So, what about your week though? Before we get too much into the weeds on the music design and all of that stuff, so do you have like 9 to 5 office hours that you have to do with this, or you kind of run your own time period? How do you manage your time in this career path?
It just kind of depends on what I'm working on. Some days are much longer than others. Some of them might be a 9 to 5 situation. Some might be, 10 plus hours. It honestly just depends on my day and my project. That's what's great is every day's different. Every project's different. How about your day? How's your week going?
Jenny, we had an interesting experience this past weekend.
Tell me about it.
Well, I had kind of an existential crisis Friday night watching Canadian Bacon in an altered state of mind. Have you ever seen Canadian Bacon?
No, I haven't.
It's a John Candy movie from way back in the day, and basically John Candy is a sheriff in Niagara Falls, which is kind of Buffalo, my hometown, and indirectly accidentally becomes a pawn in trying to start a fake war with Canada so the president can get better points on his voter polls.
Alan Alden.
There we go.
Yeah, that's from MASH.
But it just this whole movie. It's almost like they were kind of laughing at all the demographics and the caricatures of modern society and all these different people and how much there's a puppet master that plays them all different ways and that. And I just I'm watching this in the middle of the night, and all I kept thinking is like the world wants me to be John Candy. Just shut up and be the fat guy in Buffalo that's all happy-go-lucky and plays his part in pawn in the big rich man's games and has no idea what's going on. So I got kind of in the weeds from Canadian Bacon, but Andrea and I had a date night this week. We don't have many of those.
Side note: they want to know where Jenny's from.
Oh yeah, where are you from, Jenny?
I'm actually a Southern California native.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm a unicorn. I'm a double unicorn because both of my parents are from SoCal too.
Second generation.
Yeah.
Look out.
Mom's from Encino, dad's from Inglewood, so,
Building that California legacy.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
So Andrea and I went to dinner this week in Venice with a Australian couple that is in the industry. Dan and Dana, if they're watching, big shout out to them. this was a blast from the word go, hanging out with these two. One's a reality show producer, and the other one's an editor, and they thought as Canadians that they could drink, but they didn't know they sat down at a table with Buffalonian. I don't know. What you know about the East Coast.
They can hold it down.
We can hold it down. So I not only had to rep my city, but I had to rep my country too against these Australian mates. And I haven't drank that much in a while, but we had a great conversation. Met some different people in the industry, and I don't know, Jenny, does this situation kind of run into you? Like, I don't know. I like making authentic friends, and it's cool having friends that share the same background, they're in the industry, and you can be able to have industry conversations and stuff like that. But I feel like there's this cloud and this pressure that hangs over the relationship because you gotta work that networking angle in, and how can we help each other and all those kind of different things. And I just want to be friends with cool people.
Yeah, it's kind of hard because then you're like, are they actually my friend? Do they want something? And it's just like this weird kind of dynamic. I struggle with that too.
Because even at one point, like they love what we're kind of doing with Gratwick and all of that, and we're having this great night, cracking jokes back and forth, and they're like, how can we help you guys with what you're doing, and we want to support everything that's going on. And I'm like, I know that I need to and I have to, but I didn't want to kind of disrupt the fun of the night, the double dates, talking about all this stuff and what we need and all that kind of thing. I don't know. It's that part of the business I've yet to bridge that gap.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of finessing, and there's some people that when you hang out with them, you're just like, all right, we're going to be business mostly, type of thing. And there's other people that you're like, oh, how was your week? Great. And then you're like, did you see that new movie? And then you just totally forget about talking about the business.
Speaking of something else I know you did this week that we're supposed to talk about. Dan, thanks for popping in and joining the show, man. There he is. Yeah. See, here's the funniest part. Forever, Dan's Facebook name is Dan Theman. So I thought his last name was Theman.
Oh, I thought it was Dan the Man. That's what it looks like.
That just clicked on me the other day. Because his wife has a different last name, so we were friends. I'm like, why is his wife's this name and his that name? But they're married, and I'm like, because I thought it was a completely different Dan now, and then I started looking at it. I'm like, oh, Dan the Man. My mistake.
I actually said Dan Theman, so
that's what I thought. I
thought his name was Dan. I was like, your last name is the Man and your first name's Dan. That is awesome.
Yeah, I thought that for forever until it kind of clicked when we met his wife. So
this is our lovely Dan that we met with on the weekend.
Bridging into Captain Marvel.
I saw Captain Marvel. I'm sure who else has seen Captain Marvel so far? Highest grossing movie opening weekend. Come on, this is a huge thing, not just for female filmmakers, but also changing the conversation about society. It's amazing.
See, I don't want to preface it with the female aspect. I think it's probably a great movie. That's just a great movie, regardless of the female. If that just makes it that much better. But I don't think it needs an asterisk. It was. You saw it. Was it good?
It was great. I loved it. And even if you've never read the comics, it doesn't matter. Even if you don't know anything about the Avengers, who cares? You're gonna love it. The story's great.
Marvel's really good with doing the individual stories that still fit into the whole piece, but you're not lost if you're missing the beginning or the end of the other ones. Yeah,
they did a great job. I have a problem when I watch superhero movies that I feel like I'm watching a video game, and it drives me crazy with the special effects. It's one of my pet peeves, and it takes me out of the moment. Mm-hmm. This is one of the first Marvel films or any superhero film I've seen in a while that the special effects did not distract me or take me out of the story.
So, can you kind of, without dropping any spoilers on that, can you kind of set the timeline of how this fits into the Marvel universe and the pantheon of your ranking of Marvel movies?
Ooh, okay. Hi, Emily. Emily just logged on.
That's our Emily's Corner, Emily, who isn't going to be joining us for Emily's Corner this week. She's feeling a little bit under the weather, so we wish you well, Emily. And she'll be back next week with Emily's Corner to tell us about game night.
Ooh, game night.
But she is here listening. In
yeah.
Woo-hoo.
So my ranking of Marvel movies, that's a really hard one. So I love superhero movies, or superhero stuff, just like everyone else. I think what I loved about this film, this might be one of the top ones for me, is that it wasn't about special powers as much as it is about the story and the character and you can relate in your life, whether it's like finding yourself again, you know, you lost, we go through life, you lose things about yourself, you know, you get stuck in work and you're just like, I forgot that I really love insert some passion, and you have to refine it again. So I think just this character is probably one of the most relatable characters, at least for me. So,
So Brie Larson is the main character.
Yes, which I'm really surprised that I liked her, because I didn't really know anything about her, to be honest. I was like,
did you ever see United States of Terra?
I did.
Or do you mean the character that she played that you didn't know anything about?
I mean, I didn't read the comics, so I didn't really know if she was a good casting choice for the character, but I thought she was a great casting choice. And sometimes that's, I think, the best way to go into a film when you're like, I don't know, because I had no preconceived notions.
Yeah.
Did you see what she did over the weekend, though? That was awesome. In New Jersey, she actually went to a couple movie theaters, and she was behind, like, giving away the popcorn and the soda, and just in there taking pictures with girls, like young girls who were going to the movie and getting out and everything. It's all over the place. Like, that's awesome. And it wasn't anything that she was asked to do. No, it was her own choice to.
I mean, she's a good human.
She's so sweet.
She's a good human. You know.
So what time period is the majority of the movie set in?
I would say modern. Well, you mean in the Avengers universe?
Yeah, in the Avengers universe.
So I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, is the only thing. It might be a spoiler.
Like, is it like kind of the 90s? Is it?
Oh yeah, it takes place in the 90s, 100%. So it would be the first.
It's not like Wonder Woman.
No,
that was set in a different
no,
time
it's set. It takes place in the 90s. So obviously, if you're older, maybe I loved it a lot. I'm a lot older than I look, and I was like, oh yes, I remember that dial up, and all the kids are like, I don't know what's so funny. Everyone's like, half the theater's laughing.
So, where does it carry up to? Does it tie in at all into Infinity War?
It does. It does.
It does. It brings it all the way up to then.
It sets it up in a nice little bow. Go watch the film. I don't know what's a spoiler or not. I don't want people like, oh my gosh, she spoiled it. You know how people get all crazy and stuff.
So Jenny's unconfirmed rumor is that Captain Marvel. Why am I losing it?
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I kept saying
Captain America.
Well, I know that's what I knew was just got stuck in the changeover, but Jenny has pretty much confirmed for us that Captain Marvel is going to be in the second half of Infinity Wars. That's.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Marvel. Here. Sorry about that NDA. My bad.
All right, Jenny, we've got to pimp some things that are happening on with Gratwick here a little bit before we can deep dive into everything Jenny.
All right, let's go on. What's coming up?
So first thing we've got going on is our game night. April 6th, we're going to live stream. It's Saturday night. We're going to live stream a murder mystery night hosted by Emily's Corner.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
We're going to get all dressed up as kind of clue characters. She's going to assign us our different roles, and we're all going to play our part through the night. She hasn't. Here's the part that's confusing me. And Emily, pop this in the chat here if you can give us a straight answer on this. Is somebody going to have to play the victim all night long? And because I don't want to be dead in the first 5 minutes, and then I'm supposed to just lay off camera for the rest of the night. If I have to get somebody to play dead person all night, I'd rather pull in a ninth person to just lay on the couch next to us as we go.
If you're a dead person, do you actually have to be on the stream, or you could just pop in and be like, I died, and then just be on?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I totally volunteer to be that person.
I think we're going to need them.
That is fine by me. I can be the laziest player there is. Oh. There you go.
I think we're going to have to hire an extra for the night to play our body. So yeah. Saturday night, April 6th, we're going to live stream game night, and we're going to be all at the mercy of what Emily has planned for us. And we should be finding out a little bit more details about that in Emily's Corner next week. After that, we've got Apex Legends tournaments are finally ready to start this week. Andrea, pop up the registration website for us here so we can show everybody that. If you go to esportsshowdown.com and they share the S. That's an important That's an important thing to remember. Yeah. Websites take a second here to pull on. There's the link down at the bottom.
The link first.
And let's all watch that circle for a moment. There we go. That's the registration page that Esports Showdown has built for us. It's a beautiful page. We're having 32 teams or individual participations every Friday. And the winner, Jenny, is going to get entered into our main event on May 10th for our launch event.
Whoa.
We're going to have a $1,000 grand prize for the main event tournament. And each week you can win your way in for free just by live streaming and joining us for the broadcast.
That's amazing. That's really awesome. Guys, sign up. It's going to be a blast.
Then, of course, we've got our Max's Fight Club every Friday that's going to lead into the Apex tournaments. We've added the duels this past week. If you didn't get a chance to see that, it was exactly the shit show that you would expect it to be, and had a fun day of shenanigans with the Fight Club crew. And then finally, we've got a pimp, which I didn't set up a link for here, the event page for the May 10th launch event. Jenny, we're kicking off with a big party in May.
That's awesome. Where's this party at?
It's going to be in Buffalo.
Why coming? Buffalo? Why Buffalo?
Well, Buffalo's the hometown, Jenny. And when you start a movement, you got to start with the family and friends. You got to start with where you're from and where your roots are.
I agree.
And we weren't all born in one of the biggest cities in the country. So we're going to start in Buffalo, and we're going to expand to those cities.
I love it.
And the whole essence of what we're trying to do with Gratwick is investing in the local artists and that. So you start with your hometown community, invest in those artists, grow it out from there, and then local becomes bigger and bigger and bigger.
Kind of like a grassroots.
Oh, it's always grassroots with Gratwick.
Weed roots. We're weed roots.
We're weed
they're
rooting.
Impossible to get out once they're there.
I should probably put some sound effects in here.
No, we're good with that.
It's been a while on the sound effects.
Hell yeah!
There we go. Jenny, do you know about airstrikes?
Airstrikes?
Yeah, Andrew doesn't like airstrikes. Sometimes we got to call in the airstrikes.
Airstrike standing by. Roger that. They're unnecessarily.
Those are the airstrikes. We haven't had reason to drop many airstrikes since we lost our John. John's been blue and took a break. So for everybody that's still worried about John and keeps asking us, we're wishing him the best. Jenny, let me be the first to say, if you ever go through dark days and blue times, you got to lean on your friends.
That's true.
You can't withdraw into the darkness.
You can't. And I know it's hard, and we all do, but you just really got to lean on your friends and your loved ones and, be there for them as much as you can.
That's a perfect transition, Jenny, into you.
Into me. Oh, so, into the dark time.
Let's start right at the beginning. Early Jenny days.
Early Jenny days.
Now, how supportive and how influential were your parents on your choice to head into the musical path?
They were actually very supportive. I've been doing theater and art my entire life. So, theater and art was very big in my household. I think I saw my first theater play before I ever saw my first movie.
So were your parents involved in the industry at all growing up?
Nope, they were not. But my mom is just very big into theater and art. So I was very lucky that I grew up in Claremont, which is, if you're out here, it is the new Pasadena. It's the entertainment hippie town type of thing. It's a secret of LA that's no longer a secret. So I grew up.
You just broke the secret.
No, everyone broke the secret. I got an invite for one time for a 4th of July party that was like, guys, I just found the coolest place in LA. You're not going to know about it, but we're going to Airbnb a house. And I was like, dude, I'm from there. And they're just like,
down my street. What?
I'm like, yeah, that house that you're Airbnb-ing, I know exactly whose house that is. That's my friend's parents' house, and they're always out of town on the 4th of July. So I grew up in the arts, so my parents were very supportive. The guitarist from the Byrds was always playing in their local coffee shop. It's a college town, so there's lots of theater and art and great things. So they were very supportive of my decision to go in the arts.
See, I would actually think you were kind of lucky that they weren't in the industry, because their influence in your artistic growth was more on the enjoyment side versus the expectation side.
Exactly. And I'm very lucky. I was part of an amazing theater program in high school. Shout out to Claremont High, Mrs. Alhigh. She was a really great mentor, and she has an amazing theater program. And you learn a lot, not just about art, but about everything that goes in it. And I would say that theater program was it was a better educational program than my theater program at my college. So it was amazing.
Before we get into what you do behind the camera, did you ever have the bug to act or do anything?
Was that what you liked about theater?
I like everything. I'm I love the sound, the lighting, the costumes, everything, to study everything. I did have the bug to go in front, but I know this is going to be hard to imagine, but I don't like people telling me what to do. Lose weight, date this person, all that stuff. And I'm a little opinionated, so, that's not really something.
You want to say your own lines. You want to say somebody else's.
Yeah, I'm, more of a... if I want to eat the sandwich, I'm going to eat the fucking sandwich. Like, I'm not going to have to worry about a role. I mean, actors put a lot of time into that, When they have a role, they devout everything. They have trainers, they have that. That just wasn't interesting to me.
All right, so let's backtrack a little bit here and start with what exactly does a music supervisor do?
I get this question a lot. Everyone's like, a music supervisor. I want to be a music supervisor.
Hold up. I got one for you.
You got one for me?
Yep.
What would you say you do here?
Oh, I was waiting for that sound effect. I was like, you probably have that. So everyone wants to be a music supervisor. What does that mean? So a music supervisor is not just picking music. You're not like, I love this band. I'm just going to throw them in there. I love Prince. Let's throw a Prince song in there. It's not just about picking music. It's you handle every aspect of a music. So you are working with a producer, a director, a studio, a writer, sometimes it's the showrunner, and you're helping them come up with their creative sound. So are we talking, based on what it is? Okay, it takes place in the 80s. Let's talk about 80s music. What is going on in that? So you're helping them find their creative sound. You're doing budgets. Music costs money. It's intellectual property.
But there's so many artists out there that are trying to get their music heard. I can't just ask them to give it to me for free?
No. Would you give... Okay, great. You want to ask a musician to give their music for free? Why don't you not charge people to come see your stuff? Like, why do you need to get paid? So part of my job is I call it the fun police. Actually, someone gave music supervisor that job, the fun police.
You can't be a sheriff.
Hey,
we've already got the sheriff.
It's okay. I'm the fun police. It's fine. So it's your aspect of everything having to do with music, whether it's getting the rights. Like if you want your movie is theatrical rights, then you have to negotiate those rights. You have a budget to find the music. I talked about replacing a song earlier. I love this song. That's great. You cannot afford that song. But I have a really great script. It's going to make a whole social movement. Okay, yes, your creative process is great. Let's talk about the rights you need. So it's not just creative, it's also about money. Everything comes down to money and budgets. It always does, type of thing. Are you hiring a composer? That's an extra budget. So guess what? You have to pay your composer, which means your license fee is going to go down. All right, so you kind of have to work with that. So it's really managing people's expectations, helping them find the creative sound, negotiate the rights with labels, publishers, whether they're major, they're indie, making sure everything, they have their ducks in order for deliverables. If they're shooting, say someone's singing on set, making sure that they have the correct music that's been cleared, that, the lyrics aren't changed. Parodies are not free, guys. You have to get them approved. It's not ephemeral, means you don't have to get permission. You have to get permission.
So there's a couple things I want to touch on through all of that. But now when you're talking about parodies and re-performances and stuff that's not the actual artist, isn't there a scale of how that works now, whether it's the original music performed by the artist or it's another artist doing a cover of it or it's a couple notes of the music? Isn't there kind of a sliding scale on acquiring all of that?
No, there's no such thing as free music.
I'm not talking about free music. Yeah. I'm just talking about like the amount you have to pay to get the royalties for a music is different based on who's performing the music.
It depends on the use. So say we're doing, we were going to start singing a song type of thing, and we wrote the lyrics to, be a Gratwick production kind of parody of a song. We would have to go to the person who wrote the song. So that's not always the artist. They're the songwriters. So we would go to them and say, hey, these are the parody lyrics we want. Here are the rights we are. This podcast is in these different things. We would just have to break it down. They would quote us based on the intellectual property. Plus, they would have to get permission of the songwriters. Songwriters might look at it and say, absolutely not. And they would just deny it.
Unless you're Coolio and somebody else makes a decision and then you're all upset at Weird Al Yankovic for 2 decades.
Weird Al actually clears his stuff.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing is he cleared it with the company that owned the rights to Coolio's music and not Coolio.
But Coolio doesn't own his.
Exactly, but Coolio was so offended by the parody for 20 years.
Well, you know what? That's how some kids know who Coolio is. So you're welcome, Coolio.
Here's where I have a question, even as a filmmaker myself.
Yeah.
Where's the crossover between what you handle and what, say, an original score or sound design for the music is? Where's the jurisdictions between what gets overseen between those segments?
So it just depends. Sometimes the composer works with the music supervisor, and sometimes we never work together. It just depends on the project, what it is, type of thing. For example, a TV show I'm working on type of thing, I'm very involved. The director and the producer and the creator is having me be very involved, including with the score. Versus another project I'm working on that has not been announced yet. I know, isn't that awesome, guys?
I will not drop that.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. It's coming. It'll be a great announcement. Maybe we'll do like the world premiere drop hit here. Anyway,
Gratcast exclusive.
Yeah. But for me, for that project, the composer and I are not working together because he is just going to work with the director and the producer to go over the sound. They're going to talk to me about it. They might send me some tracks, but I don't have a say over that. So it just depends on what each project is unique and different. So usually, if the director needs help or a producer hiring a composer, I can give some suggestions. Okay, your project is sci-fi themed. This is how much we have. This is also how much we need scored. Is it 30 minutes? Is it 15 minutes? Is it the entire piece? So that all has a thing. Okay, here's 5 people that I think would be really great. Check out their stuff. We can talk. I can help with that. Each project's unique and different, and each one has that. As a filmmaker, I think it's something, music's always the most important thing that people talk about, and also the last thing people think about.
So, kind of crossing over there, how'd you break into the industry? Because you're talking about how each project and each score and each one's a different situation. Each person's path into the industry
is so different.
It's completely varies the spectrum. So, how would you say you got your start and when you really started getting traction into the industry?
So I actually thought I wanted to work in casting. So I had an internship at a well-known casting studio here in Los Angeles. And, by the time I graduated college, I had a full-time offer. And I realized this is not my passion. I learned a lot. It was great, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And then back then, there was nothing having to do. The school I went to Whittier College. They didn't have a music business program at the time. I didn't know about this side of the business. It wasn't like USC or UCLA where it was a film school.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you can get a music business program pretty much at any school. People talk about music supervisors. It wasn't really a known thing back then. And I saw an ad about an assistant at a music clearance company where I was like, we're looking for someone who music business, this, and I'm like, I'm smart. I like music. I'm just going to apply. Whatever. And I got hired, and it was a great first job out of college. That was kind of my college experience, was working there. I stayed late, reading licenses. I listened to everyone. I talked to everyone. I got to work with the producers, learn how they did their budgets, what they need. I got to work with other music supervisors, other production people. It was a great kind of crash course.
It sounds like you're doing law and accounting. Like you're doing everything on the admin technical side too. It's not just the creative.
It's not just creative. It's admin. It's tech.
Welcome
it's
to the entertainment
money.
industry.
Yeah,
wear as many hats as you can fit on your head.
Exactly, and it's.
So how long did you do that for?
So I was there for 4 years, and then I got
college.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, exactly. It was my college. And then I got poached by, at the time, it was
You were headhunted?
I was headhunted.
Whoa.
I was headhunted by, at the time, was a tiny, teeny little independent music publishing company called Cobalt Music, which is now one of the top 4 companies in the world, and they're very forward-thinking.
I think you played a part in that.
I did. I like to think I did.
Threw some bricks in the wall.
So threw some bricks. So I got recruited in the LA office to join the Sync team. So Sync is the film and TV side of a music publisher label. And basically, synchronization means adding sound to picture. And and I got recruited there. I learned a lot there. That was, I think, it changed the trajectory of my career.
So
when you joined, what was your role?
I originally got hired just to kind of, do what I was doing at my other job, to do clearance and everything, but everyone also had to pitch the catalog. The catalog wasn't as big then. My old boss, Chris Lakey, if you're watching, what's up? We were sitting in a meeting and he was talking about something, and then I said, well, what about this? And he was like, Jen, do you have a secret talent I don't know about? I was like, I don't understand. And he was talking about, I got an email for someone looking for a sound, and I'm not sure what in our catalog, does anyone have any ideas? So because of that, he really trained me how to use my ear to listen, to how to break down music, not just listen to lyrics, but really get down to it. And just from there, working there between Cobalt, by the time I left, I was there for almost 8 years. By the time I left, it was a major. When I left a major company. You
were right there for the whole rise up.
Yeah, and honestly, I am so grateful for that position starting when I did, because it changed my career and it made me who I am today. Because I worked there, my opportunities are just endless.
I don't want to jump too far ahead, but you've ultimately carved out a path on your own and started your own company in that.
Yeah.
Did watching that kind of companies from go small all the way up to big and seeing that whole step along the way, did a lot of that inspire you and help you with kind of carving your path?
I've always wanted to have my own company. My parents had their own company. I'm one of those people, I don't want to work for the man. And I'm not a corporate person. Everyone has their own path and journey. For me, I want to do things that I care about. I want to work with people that I enjoy working with. And corporate's great. It works for some people, but I'm not a corporate person. Like I said, I have my own.
The breakdown for me, working in the corporate world, is when you have to deal with incompetent management. And you're
Yes.
smarter than the management,
Yes.
and you know that they don't have a clue what they're doing, or they're there for the wrong reasons, and you're just supposed to shut the hell up and keep going. And that's, I can't conform to that.
I think each place is different, and I did learn a lot. I learned before I left to join American Idol's music team. I did learn that working in a big company does not make me happy. Big shows make me happy. Working with great people makes me happy.
So
people at Cobalt are great. Just the corporate culture of different things just wasn't for me. And I'm a creative person. I'm a personality. Look at my company name, Rat Dance Party. Personality. It is what it is.
So speaking of working on big productions and that, one of the first shows that you're accredited working on that is the Ellen Show.
I know.
What was that like? How did you get? Well, let's start. How did you get the job working for Ellen?
Well, it was from my first job. That was one of our clients, and what was great working on Ellen, it was the revolution of talk shows for TV. Music back then, the way music was done, Ellen changed the game when it comes to daytime TV. And to be part of that revolution about how music works, how it's
You've been in some pretty sweet positions
along
the path there, just the right time for...
It's amazing. Honestly, it's mind-blowing. Some of the craziest things I have seen just being in my career, of seeing how things change. And I'm so excited about the future with new media. New media is amazing. I know people are scared. It's going to be okay.
So did you ever get a chance to meet Ellen?
Yes, I did. She's a very wonderful person. During the writer's strike, she took care of her people. That was in the 2000s during the big writer's strike. I know that show's coming to an end. She deserves to.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is. Didn't you see that in Variety?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it was like, I know there's talks and everything, but it's she's got to do her own thing. But being part of that team and really learning daytime TV, fast, and everything that goes in it with music. And before, you would send out a request, and a record label might get back to you, a month later, and it's like, hey, this guest is on the show tomorrow. So it's that she really changed how music is consumed for TV, how it is put on TV. Also, the marketability for music on TV. She changed the game.
So, question, did you have to help when she went, she does the dancing at the beginning of the shows, when all that started, they had to pick the songs. Was that part of what you had to do, the emergency clearance for getting permission for that? Where she's like, today I like this song, so let's just get permission. And you're you're Ellen, but there's still steps.
Yeah, there's steps. So we did a giant pre-cleared list. So we worked with the publishers and labels, and we would clear hundreds of songs, and you could just use them. It was we would just use them, and then they would get paid. It was like MFN. So MFN means Most Favored Nations. meaning you get paid the same no matter what. If the publisher gets $1,000, the record label gets $1,000. No one gets paid more or less, and it gets broken up based on what you own. So if there's a 50% of your 50% publisher on a song, you have $500. If you are a side artist and you are 30%, then you get $300. So it's, that kind of same thing. So it changed how things were done. So it'd be a giant list of songs. She likes the same things. She loves Pink. She loves this. She loves that. A lot of record labels would send their upcoming new singles to make sure it got put in the mix. If there were special guests, a lot of times, booking might have something to do with it. Also, if people are performing, you have to get permission for them to perform their own song.
Oh, that's
so you have
hilarious.
to get the performances cleared.
So a show like that, would they have kind of like a blanket approval with a record label company or something, and they'd use the music and then just after the fact they'd be billed for it or something like that, or did they have to request the music before they used it, so they'd have to know in advance what music's being used?
We would clear hundreds of songs in advance. In the summertime, when they're not shooting, I'm working. I got to clear all that music. And then at the end of the season, we would just get chunks of cue sheets, and we'd go through and be like, okay, songs used X amount of times. Okay, times this. Then we do the license, and be giant schedules as A's. Schedule A's, which is all the music down. So the use, the timing, the publishing, the splits, the money, and it, hundreds of thousands of dollars to one person, depending on the use.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so American Idol was another huge show you worked on.
Yeah, that was a great show to work on, by the way. I mean, talk about after
any
leaving,
memorable experiences?
It was interesting because working on Idol when I was at Cobalt is, people would come to me and say, we want to sing this song on the show. So I would have to deal with that. And then the full circle of it. And one thing I learned working on American Idol that as a viewer, I don't think you really appreciate, it really exposed me to the rest of America. We live in LA. I'm in a bubble. I'm from the bubble. I live in a bubble.
I've seen quite a bit of America.
I read, but it exposed me to some really different types of people. And so now when someone says, oh, for this music, it's people, some people had no idea what this artist was. But it really, it educated me in a different way to think about it. And it's a great opportunity for these kids. I know they're not all kids. I call them kids because they're younger than me. And it's a great opportunity for them to follow their dream. And also to get a real example of what it's like working in the music business. You have rehearsals. You learn songs fast.
Yeah, that's
social
that's a great
media,
point.
how social media works. It's a great crash course I want to be a musician. What does that mean? Mm-hmm. It's a great crash course. And I just learned so many different things working with the people. Also, with shows like that, it's a giant team effort. It's not one person.
So how does the music clearance for something like that work now? Because you've got a line of people that are all auditioning and each one's singing a different song and stuff like that. Do they have to check in with somebody and say, this is the song I'm going to sing? And then you guys have to get it cleared before they come into the audition room? How does that whole process work? Because it seems like it'd be a logistical nightmare.
So some of it some of it I can't talk about, obviously, because the way productions do things, but it just depends. The kids, they like these songs, they want to sing this song, so it's like you have to go ask for permission. They have different nights. Like last season they had a Prince night, so obviously way before that was announced, the show was working on with the state about getting the rights to be able to do a Prince stuff. So it's like going through network, what songs are okay.
But I mean, like
the
early rounds.
Like they go to Minnesota.
Yeah.
And people line up for a mile and they take their turn.
And he walks in and starts singing Michael Jackson.
Or is it just a matter of it's not going to be clearance? They just won't air that section of the audition.
So it just depends. Obviously, they know some things won't clear. So if they're like, okay, like Michael Jackson stuff's a little bit more difficult. He's not unclearable. It's just a little bit of a different process, and does not mean it's easy. Don't get any ideas, people. And they just kind of go through it, and they film things. They kind of have an idea. During casting, they're talking to the editors. They don't show everything that's auditioned. It's all edited. It's all they handpick stuff. We have to watch it. I can't tell you how many episodes I have watched where there were different things like, okay, is this going to clear in time? Is this going to clear in time? So it's honestly a very community-based production, and there's some things, obviously, that are left to Hollywood about how they make this amazing show.
Yeah. So I guess the question I really want to ask is, if I'm Bob and I'm standing in line to do my attempt on there and make a fool out of myself and I want to sing Sir Mix-a-Lot, Do I have to tell anyone in advance before I sing that song, or is Simon the first person that's going to hear me say I'm singing Sir Mix-a-Lot?
So, Chris, obviously, we know how last time you watched American Idol, considering it's not even on
Simon's
Fox.
been gone for a while.
Simon's gone for a while, and which is totally fine.
I'm definitely not there keeping the show on.
Yeah, so pop culture, -1. And, they fill out a lot of paperwork with casting. So they talk about their song choices and everything. Casting's talking to the music team saying, hey, is this song cleared? Will it clear?
Oh, I got you now.
So, I mean, like I said, there's so many different departments that work together. It's not one person.
So these 2 huge shows that you worked on, is there like one personal memory or moment that was like a great experience that you carry with you from those 2 shows?
I don't know. I mean, they were so different. And I mean, I loved working on them. They're great shows. I love my scripted shows. I love my unscripted shows. And it's all just about the people and the characters, because everyone in these shows, they're a character. They're a person. Was
there any kind of like Ellen Christmas party for cast and crew or American Idol?
We had some great parties.
Yeah, that's what we want to know. Like,
first rule of production, it's just like Vegas. You don't talk about what happened. That's like stays in the family.
We just want to know that it happened. You don't have to tell us exactly what happened.
I mean, there was great parties. You meet great people. You're a family when you work on these
shots
shows.
with Simon?
No. First of all, I never met Simon because he was on Fox. I worked on ABC. Totally different platform. -2 on pop culture.
Wait. But Simon's on American Idol.
Yeah, when it was on Fox. It's now on ABC.
I didn't even know it jumped networks.
I was part of the ABC team.
Well, I have to say, no offense to American Idol. Well, actually, no offense to Jenny. I don't care if American Idol's offended. But I have avoided it at all costs. I'll try to catch some highlights of the early round auditions when the good stuff's happening, but I can't.
It's okay. So, like I said, there's a show for everyone.
Us scripted folks, we can't support that stuff.
Oh, I disagree.
Yeah, toss your nose up in the air.
So when you got into the musical supervising business, when you first started, who was your biggest inspiration? Like, who did you look up to as, this is who I should try and be like?
So one of the music supervisors I actually really look up to is Maggie Phillips. You probably don't really know that name. She's flown under the radar for a really, really long time. She did Homecoming with that giant score undertaking. She did Handmaid's Tale last season.
Ooh,
She works with the Duplass brothers. She's an amazing woman. She was a joy to work with when I worked at Cobalt, and I hope my career is just as much as hers is. She's an amazing woman. She does a great job, and that's like definitely one of my music supervisor icons.
Awesome. Very cool.
So your own company is Rat Dance Party.
Yes.
Let's dig into that. Obviously, we're going to start with the name.
So, Rat Dance Party. So, I've had pet rats since preschool. It's a California thing.
Is there any footage of them dancing?
We used to have, I'll get to that. But I will get to that. So, since I was 5, I've always started my morning with a dance party with my rat. So, hence the name, Rat Dance Party. And, I'm just one of those things. You're having a bad day, have a dance party. Start your day off in a great mood, have a dance party. And, my pet rat is my child. And so, why wouldn't your rat have a dance party with your rat? I've been doing it since I was 5.
What's his name?
Well, unfortunately, our last rat passed away last week. So we are a little bit ratless, which has been a little hard. But our last rat was Tempy. That was short for Temperance, from Dr. Temperance Brennan from Bones, because she had the same personality.
Nice.
She had a great life. She had a really great life.
How old was she?
She was 3 years old, which is
over rat years?
Over 100.
Yeah, that's a full life.
She was an old lady who acted like she was a young rat.
Trying to come up with rat jokes here. I got nothing.
I know, you got nothing.
I got nothing.
You got nothing.
So let's talk about the studio built on the back of this rat.
I know.
So when did you start your company? What was the turning point where you're like, I'm ready. It's time to take the leap.
So Rat Dance Party actually only launched in October. So I wrapped American Idol Season 1. I got a call to supervise another TV show. And basically I had to make a decision. Do I stay on a giant network TV show, or do I take a chance on a show no one's ever heard of and decide to go on my own? And a show like Idol is a very intense. Yeah, it's an intense show, and it's year round. And I've already decided I'm getting an Emmy and an Oscar, so I can't do that if I'm on a show that's year round. So, and
Fair
also
enough.
I wanted to spread my wings a little bit. I wanted to work, you know, I have worked in scripted. I miss the narrative. That's kind of where I really flourish, is the narrative. So it was just a really great opportunity, and I couldn't turn it down. So it was just one of those things. And when I, you know, said I wasn't coming back, they were so supportive. I mean, they were like,
Did you take anyone with you?
Did I take anyone with me?
Yeah.
No.
Did you poach
Yeah,
anyone
just
from
pull
the
a Jerry
other
Maguire.
place?
No.
Like, I like you. You're coming with me.
No.
I got my one show and we're out.
We're out. No.
Who's
no.
coming with me?
Taking the department.
No, I.
Yeah, do you have your little rat on your desk too? So it's like
Well,
me.
she's my assistant,
the
so of
rat's
course I leave my
coming.
assistant with me. I mean, I can't leave my assistant. What is she gonna do? She's gonna be like, I don't know what to do. Like, I got left behind. Like, I call my rat my assistant. So you know, whatever. Which is funny because some people don't realize that my assistant's not a person. So they're like, oh, can I schedule something with your assistant? And I was like, are you serious? Like when I post a picture of my
She's not
assistant,
really
it's a
good
rat.
at-
It's a
she's not
rat.
real good at
My
taking
assistant's
notes.
horrible. She sucks at making coffee. She sleeps in a hammock all day. Like no one realizes it's a
think
pet.
you're abusing your assistant.
They
They're
think,
like,
like-
she really doesn't like her. Just fire your assistant.
I know everyone's like, I can recommend a great assistant for you, and I'm like, my assistant's my pet rat.
I don't trust her though. She's a rat.
She eats my paperwork. I mean, whatever. She doesn't pay attention. It's fine.
I haven't gotten my notes in days.
I know. She can't even give me notes.
So how would somebody go about getting Jenny and Rat Dance Party to be music supervisor on their project?
So you would just reach out to me. We would talk about your project, kind of what your budget is, because you know, realistically, I have worked on projects. Budgets come and are in all different types of things, and sometimes you just can't afford it, and it's okay. And we just kind of have a conversation where, okay, so you only have X amount of money. You know what? We can go get a music library deal, and I can pull music from the library. That's one way, if you're low on budget, that you can do that. Instead of saying, I want to license all these different types of well-known songs, there's a lot of great options out there that people just don't realize. And music libraries have great music. They really do.
Now, what about the flip side of that? Now, if I'm a musician or a singer-songwriter, somebody that wants to have my music put into films, TV shows, and projects and stuff, is the only way for that to happen to be in some big giant catalog, or can I directly contact a music supervisor and expose them to my stuff and have a chance that way?
So this is kind of a twofold question type or answer, I guess. So here's the thing. Like I said before, music supervision and music, it's also, you know, a legal thing as well. I do not take unsolicited music unless I know that you actually own the rights to your music. Because a lot of people say, oh yeah, I own 100%. And it's just, if I don't know you, it's the vetting of a trust. Obviously, if you're working with a manager or a third-party pitching company that supervisors know, we can take it. Or, you know, it's about building trust. It's also about building your community type of thing. Don't stalk music supervisors, you know, type of thing. There's lots of really...
Post on their wall. This is my song.
Oh my God, that's the worst. That's the worst.
You're like,
Start blowing them up
your
with
song.
Spotify links.
Oh my, it's the worst. So if you go on my website, www.ratdanceparty.com, there is a blog on there that talks about how to pitch to music supervisors, especially if you're an indie artist type of thing. And I know you're like, well, I really want my music in this TV show. It would be great. And I'm like, yes, you're great at your craft. We want to help indie artists, but you have to go through those things. And if you do develop relationships, I do have personal relationships with all different types of songwriters and producers, but they've been vetted. I know who they are. They legally own the rights to their music. I mean, think of it this way. You know, it's not like, oops, I forgot that my buddy has 50%, you know, type of thing. But here's the thing. I clear the song with you. I have all my paperwork in order. I give it to the network. Down the line, they get, you know, something happens and some guy's like, dude, my song was on insert TV show and I didn't know. I could get in trouble and I would probably never get hired again. So it's also my reputation on the line as well as yours. So there's so many little intricate things. I was working on a TV show and, you know, someone said, oh, I have it one stop. I had all the paperwork in order. And then I got a call from a major music publisher. It's like, hey, Jen, so my writer told me that their song is going to be on your show tonight. And I was like, excuse me? And I was like going through, I was like, I don't have any songs with you. And I mean, I had a panic attack. Luckily, because of my relationships, the publisher was able to work with me, but that should not have happened. Have I ever gone back to that artist and said, hey, do you have... No, they're off my list. They're off my list type of thing, because the trust is gone, completely gone.
Can you ask an artist to make a song?
Yes. So I do a music supervisor's job also. Like, for example, I'm working on a film where I reached out to some songwriters to write me an end credit song. So I told them, this is what it's about. This is the type of vibe I'm looking for, type of thing. And we've worked together to build a song together. And then I got the song the way I wanted it. And then I reached out to an artist to either cut it or all those different things. So music supervisors also really help original works happen. What makes me stronger is the fact that I have worked on the publisher and label side. So I'm full circle. Not everyone understands that.
So when you reach out to an artist, though, to make the song, are you a partial owner then?
No. I don't own any intellectual property rights.
Okay.
So how do you feel about writers that put songs in their scripts?
Oof. It's a love-hate situation. Love-hate situation. That's why music should come on first. I always ask to read the script first, especially since if you have a song written in the script and you are shooting it, and I'm like, yeah, that's not going to clear. You just spent $100,000 to reshoot one scene. If you hired a music supervisor, I'd be like, look, I will try to get this cleared, but it's probably not going to happen. So here's 6 songs that are cleared, type of thing. So really, hiring a music supervisor in the beginning is not only smart, but it's cost effective.
So if a music supervisor was hired in the beginning, how far in the beginning would it be ideal for you? Before the script's even fully developed, so the scenes can almost be developed around the music, or after the script's in place and then the flow of the scene, you'll find the music to match it? Which would be your preference in an ideal scenario?
So if it's a script that's heavily on music, I am working with someone who's working on a film right now that is very music based. So they hired me in the beginning because as they're writing it, we're going back and forth. And I was like, okay, that song is not going to clear for someone else to perform it. They're very particular and they're like, okay. And I'm like, what are you trying to say? And so we kind of have that conversation. Some of obviously the bigger studios, like Guardians of the Galaxy, it was in the script. They don't care. Like, they got money. Like, type of thing. So it just, again, I know this is like the stupid answer. It depends on the project. But I always say, I've been really lucky, knock on wood, that all of my scripted projects have hired me in the beginning, except for a couple cleanup jobs. But
there's always the fun of having to do the clearance after the fact.
Oh yes.
So here's to me where the real magic happens. So you got a rough cut of a movie. Mm-hmm. There's no sound, there's sound, but there's no music.
There's temp song. There's temp love. Always temp love.
So run that by us again. Temp
love. So editors will put in music, type of thing that they love, and that's why directors will fall in love with a song because it's called temp love, and so it's a love-hate situation for us. Type of thing.
So you don't ever come into like a rough cut without any music laid in at all?
I have. It is the weirdest thing ever. I will never get used to it.
That's what I'm getting to. So like some people, I don't even think they realize how much music really there, and it's almost like it's so part of the video that you don't even notice it sometimes. But when it's not there, it is so obvious and apparent.
It's like a horror movie. If you had
A Quiet Place. One thing that what made A Quiet Place so scary was the lack of sound. So and we don't live like that. Even if you walk outside, you hear birds, you hear cars, you hear leaves, you hear sound. But in A Quiet Place, when it was quiet, you're just on edge. I mean, there was like nothing going on. They were just like walking in complete silence, and you're just like, oh my God!
So when you walk into a rough cut, how does that process start where you start imagining music into this scene and that scene? And how does the marriage between creating a mood with music and the music dictating the mood, how do those two things play in each other so the song maybe doesn't dominate the scene but accentuates it?
So, I'm going to go back to a montage example. So a montage has no dialogue. So the song is, definitely is elevating the picture. But then you have music, you have scenes where there's dialogue. So that's something to think about, type of thing, is you don't want something that's lyrically crazy because it takes away from the dialogue. It takes away from the scene. So you're really breaking down the scene and the story. What is the objective? What are the characters going through? What am I feeling? What does the director, producer, creator want the audience to feel? What's going on with that? And you kind of have to break it down. Are those, if there's, a party scene and is it a party scene where it's just like a needle drop, meaning just background at a bar, or is this like a huge montage where everyone's losing their shit and they're like drinking, going, yeah? What type of vibe do you want?
How do you decide when it's going to be background for the audience to hear to create the vibe, and actual background that the actors and the characters are supposed to be hearing? Like if you're in a bar, they're doing a bar scene. Sometimes they have it where the characters know the song that's playing, and you can tell. And other times it's like they just put something on in the background to create the mood, where you can tell that characters aren't hearing it at all. Like, how do you choose that as a musical supervisor? When is the right time to have it be in the scene or surrounding the scene and creating it?
So that's actually a call for a director. The director usually comes in and they know what's going on with that. For just like a background, it's not a big thing. It's just like the ambiance of a bar. Is when they're shooting it, there's actually no sound. It's in post. Versus when everyone knows what's going on, that song is pre-cleared, and during shooting, that song is playing. It's called a thump track that you give an editor for them to put it there, so you can have that at the scene. So everything is sound is very much a lot of times pre-decided type of thing. Director, editors, post supervisor. I am not the decision maker. I think a lot of people think music supervisors can make the decision. No. We are not the
You present the decisions for them to make,
right? We
give
options. A lot of times they say, I want this song. Like, I've worked on stuff where then these are all the songs I want licensed. Great. Okay, let me go get them for you. Type of thing. Something doesn't come in, I can give suggestions. We talk about their creative thing. The composer does their job. Composers have a really hard job, and they're just so talented, and they have an amazing ear and vision that I don't think people realize how talented these people are. That is on a different spectrum of the brain than mine, and way different talent than mine.
So, to be a music supervisor, it sounds like you have to have an obsession for listening to music all the time, every day, whatever, to expose yourself to as many different choices and options as possible.
Yeah.
How does that, what's your routine for consuming music?
So, every Friday I listen to New Music Friday. I want to know what's going on in the current state and place. If I'm working on a project that's going to be 80s, I go into a deep 80s thing. If I have a project where it's taking place, say, in Phoenix, what type of artists are from Phoenix? What's the sound of Phoenix? What do people from Phoenix love? You do a lot of research about what is the area you're going to. If we're in Argentina, I'm going to start researching Argentinian music or songwriters or artists that were inspired by Argentina. So it's just each day is different. But for me, staying on top of pop culture is really big. I grew up listening to so much music, 80s, 70s, 60s, everything. And I still go through and I'm like, oh, I love this artist from the 60s. What else is there that's not popular? And I just give myself assignments all the time. Nice.
So aside from the money side of it, does the status of the musician or the band or any of that stuff play into the decision making on what's used in a score? Like, oh, that's a no-name band, so we'd rather go with something that's a little known, or this band's up and coming. By the time the movie comes out, this band's going to be big and hit right in the pocket. How much of that is coordinated and even considered in the selection process?
It depends on the project. I have a project right now where it's coming out next year. It'll be in theaters. And so I'm like, what are kids listening to now? So I'll reach out to the record labels are always giving me pre-release music to listen to. So I'm like, what's going to be big next year?
You get the inside scoop.
Try to. It's not always a guarantee, but it's like what bands are going to be coming out next year. That's important to know what's coming so that it doesn't seem dated.
Yeah. That's kind of where I was going with all that.
You don't want to be dated, but if it's something from the 70s, I don't care what's coming out next year.
Yeah.
I care, but I'm not going to spend all my time on that.
Yeah. All right.
Is it cheaper for songs that aren't the most popular from older bands?
No. It depends who wrote it.
Like their B track? I'm not saying the Beatles, but the Supremes. If you got one of the songs that people don't usually hear, would it cost as much as their most recognizable?
Well, most recognizable is always more expensive, but you also have to see what's the rights you want. If it's theatrical, it's going to be more expensive. New media is everyone always gets scared by that, is very expensive because you don't know. There was a joke when I worked at the publisher, I don't know, maybe they want to put it on the moon. What do I charge for, like, putting it on the moon, you know, type of thing? Because new media is, you don't know where it's going to be.
Yeah.
Traditional TV is dead, let's be honest. Streaming is the kind of thing. Well, actually, one of the crazy things that I'm so excited that I got to be a part of was when I first started in the industry, TV had very standard rights. So those things, and you know, you can watch The Sopranos, Sex and the City, 6 Feet Under, all these old TV shows online, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guess whose job it is to go back and redo the music? Some of the music's not the same. Because they couldn't get the rights for it.
Isn't Friends one of the big ones that, like, the opening song, they had to change it on either the DVDs or Netflix or whatever?
No, it's still all be there for you.
There's one that's a huge show that the opening song that's iconic. I don't know if it was a period of time that they had a different one, but something.
Yeah, I mean,
remember hearing like that.
People don't even think about it. And you know, where I worked at my first job it was someone's job to go back and re-clear all the music and having to track these people down and explain to them what this means. And they're like, well, what does that mean? Like, my music's wherever? I'm like, no, it's in the show. It's just now you can see it streaming. What does streaming mean? So, I mean, the evolution of TV has changed so much. And to be seeing it in real time, to me, is exciting. I'm excited about, you know, 15 years from now in virtual reality, you're like in a concert, virtual reality. Like, what is that? You know, that's exciting. People are scared, but I'm excited.
Oh yeah, there's so many cool things coming with virtual reality. So I want to kind of get a little deep question here on that. What is it that you think about music has the ability to dictate and alter somebody's state of mind or mood?
Okay, let's talk about covers, right? Everyone loves a good cover. It's trailer's number one thing to go to, right? So you and I listen to the same song, right? We're listening to the exact same song. We have two different memories with that song. And when I hear a song, I'm like, oh, and you're like, and you might be like, oh no, type of thing. Music has a way to evoke not only emotion, but memory. So when someone else sings a song that you may not know their vocal, but you hear that cover of a song, it just will take you back. You know, for me, it might be a really good memory. It's nostalgia. And also music just creates this bond and emotion with people. It's different. It's not just sitting there, you know, TV's great, content's great. But, you know, if you watch something and you're just like, you know, and then all of a sudden a really great song comes in or just the score helps to move it and you're just like, wow, like I'm really excited by this. And you're like, if that wasn't there, would I really care?
Yeah, there's so many iconic scenes or songs that I love the song because of the iconic scene
exactly.
that I remember it being married
And then
to.
when you hear that song, you think of that scene, which is always great.
Yeah. Okay, so it's time for our last Jenny question. This is the surprise fun question.
Oh, Lord. I'm sorry, everyone.
So, Jenny, do you know how long you've been on Facebook for?
Do you remember when you joined?
I was in college, so it was either 2006, 2007.
So that was before it was officially out, though, for everyone. It was like only college years then still, right?
So we are older than we look, yes.
No.
2005 is when people started posting on your page.
That was allowed to join before
And
the public.
In 2006 is when you actually made your first post on Facebook.
Oh, shit.
Do you know what your first post was?
People were writing on your wall before you were posting. You were popular.
Do you know what your first post was?
I don't know what my first post is, and I don't think I want to know. It was probably something.
No, you don't want to know.
stupid.
You don't want to know what your second post was.
Oh, shit.
And Andrea wouldn't allow me to include it in the show without clearing it by you first. So.
I appreciate that, Andrea. Oh my gosh, you gotta check with people.
So it was something about what Andrew was doing in the room next door.
Oh my. The neighbor. Oh yes, the neighbor.
The neighbor. I like that.
Apparently, Andrew was having a good time next door.
What was your first Facebook post?
I don't know. We haven't gone down that rabbit hole quite yet. But we do have your first official Facebook post here.
No. Lord. Am I gonna be embarrassed?
No, we don't have a drum roll. I could have given a airstrike, but let's
there
just
we go.
cha-ching. There it is.
Ta-da!
You were apparently saving the world, Jenny. So on behalf of all 8 billion of us that were around 10 years ago, I would like to thank you for successfully saving the world. Because
I guess I was original Captain Marvel and didn't even know it.
You must have been successful because we're all still here.
Apparently. Woo woo!
Yeah. So October 29th, 2006. That's when you made your Facebook debut.
Wow, that's crazy.
All of your friends on your wall were finally like, yeah, she sees us.
Okay.
She sees us.
You're like, I don't know what you're talking about, this wall that you're on. But
We
okay.
are now going to skip past Emily's corner because Emily's down for the count.
She's feeling well.
Emily's down for the count.
We'll see her next week.
And we're going to move along to Discord questions.
Woo! Let's see.
All right. Andrea runs the show for Discord questions.
Discord questions is a singular this time.
Oh.
It is question. All right. We lost some big influences last week in the entertainment industry, which got some people thinking, who's going to be the actor or artist that hits you the most when they have to pass? Doesn't have to be an old person. Could be a new person. Someone that would rock your world right now. I had an answer already.
Do you want to go first, Jenny, or do you want to go
Do you guys want to think for a little bit?
I'll go,
Answer?
I'll go first.
Go ahead, Chris.
I don't really have enough emotional attachment in that regards to any particular celebrity or artist, but the one that would probably hit me the hardest because it would simply say, you're on deck and you're getting really freaking old, I'd have to say probably Jay-Z.
That's an interesting choice. That's a very interesting choice.
Oh, he's by far and away the singular artist that has had the most influence on my career in life. Because mainly the blueprint. Like, he always talks about the blueprint. What the actual blueprint is betting on yourself, building your own empire around your own intellectual property and your own content.
Ding,
and
ding.
that's so much of what I've drawn from his music and all of that over the years that, yeah. But yeah, that would be probably the one that, like, living in a world that Jay-Z isn't around anymore.
That's a good. I don't think I'm not that cool, guys. I would say Max Martin. He's a producer-writer I've loved since, I got introduced to the mainstream 90s pop world. He's the king of pop originally in the 90s growing up. Yeah, Michael Jackson, whatever. But I listened to him too as a kid. But I would say someone that I really looked up to when he passes, I feel like it's going to be the end of a pop music era type of thing. I know a lot of people don't know who he is, but he wrote all of your Backstreet Boys. Right? I do. Backstreet Boys, NSYNC. He wrote Britney. He's written, he's written so many different pop stuff, and he's just also a great person. And he takes producers and writers under his wing, and he's just, I think, a good influence for writers and artists, and he's just a good person. And
nice.
Yeah.
So I got a question that I'll throw in as a Discord question here that just kind of sparked from listening to that. Now, this might be out of the realm of a music supervisor, but do you know, so say somebody's a songwriter, but they're not a singer or performer. Mm-hmm. Do you have any idea what the path is for how does somebody get their song that they've written that has no melody or anything with it? How do they get that in front of somebody that can say, I want to sing this song?
Songwriters, they're very talented. Songwriters work in communities of people. I mean, what's great about technology is there's so many great resources for songwriters, whether it's ASCAP or BMI or any of those different free resources online that can really kind of help you match you with the right people. And it's a lot of give and take because you might be like, I wrote a great song, and then you go to a writing session, you're like, I don't gel with this person. Songwriters are great. I worked with them at my old job. I mean, still kind of technically work with them. You just kind of find your community of your writers because there'll be people you gel with, people you don't, producers that understand who you are. And if you're writing for someone else, then you're going to have to think about their project, who's their brand, what's their voice, so what's their range. So if you're writing for someone else, it's really do your research and get a great team around you of producers, songwriters, managers. Lots of people meet each other. Actually, if you're a female this is open to anyone, and if you're in LA, March, what is today?
The
11th. Okay, well, when I get back from South by on the 19th in North Hollywood, every month there's this nonprofit women's organization that calls Women's Crush Music, and they have showcases for songwriters, artists, all these things. You guys should come out. You'll meet a lot of really great songwriters, artists.
Do you know a website on that?
It's called Women's Crush Music. Women Crush Music, and there's the Los Angeles one on Facebook type of thing. And it's just, they're a great organization. There's so many different organizations like that you can really, talk to your fellow community, meet some new people, listen to some great music, have an outlet to have your creativity come out.
Perfect. All right, we're moving on to our final segment.
Oh, shoot.
It's the Bullet Blitzes. We're bringing these back. We gotta crack John's shell and at least get our sound effect back from him for the Bullet Blitzes.
You can just ask him. He'll send it to you.
Give us our damn sound effect back, John.
What's the sound effect?
It's a bullet and a
Sounds
linebacker. It's a bullet and a linebacker blitzing because it's a bullet blitz. So it's. That's basically the sound effect.
So you just did the sound effect.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, that's what we've been doing is manually, but I didn't want to embarrass myself in front of you, so I wasn't going to manually do the sound effect, but you kind of backdoored me into it.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to go first here so you can get kind of the vibe of how we rock the Bullet Blitz, and then you can throw one back at me.
Okay.
So, as a business owner and entrepreneur, prioritize these three things to you. Time, opportunity, and relationships.
Relationships, opportunity, time.
Okay. I would go time, relationships, and opportunity. Because if you don't have the time, you can't build the relationships. And if you don't build the relationships, you don't have the opportunities.
Oh, I think you and I were having a definition of time being different there. Oh, I love it.
Time is a flat circle, they say.
Okay, flat earther here. Oh, shit.
I'm actually pirating the original pirater that pirated True Detective. I was drawing a blank there for a second. Yeah, first season True Detective, which he basically took all from everywhere else plagiarized. That's a big story. No, nobody.
No.
All right.
Every pirate's walking with an example.
You're up, Jenny.
Okay. My question would be, what's your favorite type of pet that's non-traditional and why?
That's non-traditional.
Can't say dog.
I'm guessing that's exactly what non-traditional had gone there. I would totally want a falcon if I could have any pet in the world. But aside from that, then it would have to be like one of the talking parrots because I would teach that thing to say all sorts of crazy shit. Sweet talking parrot.
Sweet talking parrot.
Nah. All right. What about you?
Well, I mean, I already have a non-traditional pet, so I guess the next one would probably be like a hedgehog.
Oh, hedgehog.
Yeah. Sweet. Super illegal in California, but.
So.
Why are they? Why?
I don't know. I just read an article. They're super illegal.
Is the hedgehog in the porcupine family?
I don't know. They're just really, really cute. And I've seen all these like cute videos on BuzzFeed of them like taking baths and being cute and stretching. And I'm like, I want one.
So is it spiked hair or is it spikes on their back?
It's spikes, but on the inside, like they like curl up like a ball when they're angry. And then
I played Sonic. I know.
Yeah, it's like Sonic. Like you can have a hedgehog.
But I never knew. I never knew whether his hair just stood up.
No, it's like a porcupine. But you know.
So they gotta be in the porcupine family then. We gotta get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, I know. We gotta go down a wormhole.
Our producer off camera should have already been Googling porcupines and hedgehogs to find out the blood relationship there. If they both got quills, they gotta be in the same family. I think that pretty much solves it. All right, Jenny. Here's my next one.
Okay.
If you could do what you love and work from anywhere in the world, but you could never leave that place again, where would you work?
Tel Aviv.
Why Tel Aviv?
Really?
Tel Aviv is my favorite city in the world, and it's amazing.
Seems like a volatile center of the storm kind of place.
It is not volatile.
Well, everywhere around it is. You're in the Middle East.
I feel safer in Israel than I do in the U.S.
It's because they got a wall. Uh-oh.
Oh.
So what's so great about Tel Aviv?
It's just the energy, the people, the culture, the art. Art there is amazing. Music, art, theater.
How many times have you been there?
A lot.
Really?
I know. My poor husband hasn't gone yet, but we're gonna go.
When's the last time you were there?
Just like, peace out, I'll see you in 2.
Last time I've been there, well, it's actually been a really, really long time because, you know, when you're working on TV shows, you can't really be like, hey, I'm gonna be gone for like a month or a week or something. But now I'm a little more remote since it's not live. I can be like, hey, you can just email me. It's fine.
All right.
Where would yours be?
It would have to be probably Australia.
Oh.
Simply because...
Where every animal
Because
can
you were
kill
just
you?
told that would be a great place for you to go?
No, because it's the most excluded island in the planet. So if everything goes to shit, like, you're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. It's all good there. Why do you think everybody's got their bunkers in Fiji or whatever it is next to Australia? I don't think it's Fiji, but...
I was like, I don't think Fiji and Australia...
Like, I think you just got the silence of all us going... Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? I don't think that's
right. The Kiwis, whatever the Kiwis are.
I'm pretty sure that's not.
Kiwis?
Are you talking about
New Zealand?
New Zealand. There you go. New Zealand. Yeah, that's where they all got their bunkers and that.
So you would go to Australia over New Zealand?
Well, as long as you're on Australia, you're on the same continent, and you can go to New Zealand. Yeah, they're right there with each other.
No.
That whole thing.
One's an island. One is part of a continent.
No. They're attached to each other. There's Australia, and then there's
sad.
something else right there.
All right, guys. Apparently, we all.
No, where Peter Jackson shot Lord of the Rings. New Zealand. That's on the Australian continent, right? No.
Okay.
New Zealand is not next to Australia.
We're gonna do this.
Yeah.
This is sad.
Producer, we need a map.
Exactly. I'm like, come on.
There's no way.
Before it dies.
New Zealand is most certainly next to Australia. I've known this my entire life. My whole life is not a lie. While Andrea's looking that up, I'm going to start thank you, Jenny, for joining the show.
Thanks for having me and dealing with the
shenanigans. Definitely is not. Here we go. We're going to just show everyone on the camera here.
Yeah, just show how we're not working.
That's right next to Australia! It's right there! Come on!
No, if right next to it.
It's the only other thing anywhere in the vicinity. Everything else is on another hemisphere. That's right next to Australia.
No, because New Guinea is closer to Australia than New Zealand.
I mean, it's kind of like saying Hawaii is right next to California.
It's right off the coast of Australia.
That's exactly what it's like saying.
No, it's like saying Cuba is off the coast of Florida. No, God, you guys are out of here. I knew what part of the world it was in. It was right next to Australia.
I was totally off on the continent part, but I was definitely right on the. It's not part of.
It's
Australia.
not next to Australia. It's right there, right to the right of Australia.
Right there.
All right, Jenny, thank you for being a great guest on the show.
Thanks for having me, everyone.
It's been a blast talking to you about music.
Oh yes, and everyone watching, thanks for tuning in to obviously Gratcast.
Andrea, if you can toss up the guest list for the rest of the month. We've got Romello, a Gratwick favorite, coming in. Well, I think he's going to be a remote guest next week. Sam, it's right next to Australia. I can throw a rock. I can throw a boomerang off the coast of Australia. It'll go around the Kiwi and come right back to me.
I just heard a brand new challenge for your next show. Are you going to throw a boomerang and see if it hits?
Oh, yeah. Right off the coast of Australia.
Little studio is going to be hilarious. It will be a small one.
So, thanking Romello for joining us next week in advance. Thank you, Sammy, for popping up out of nowhere to correct me real quick before we get off air.
Thanks, Sammy.
Yeah, Sammy.
And Max's Fight Club and the duels. Kick off every Friday at 1 p.m. and then 2:30 for the duels. And then after that that's our lead-in into the Apex Legends tournament.
Yeah, that thing is...
We don't have to pull that link up, but it's esportshowdown.com is where you can register to join the Gratwick weekly tournaments.
You can kind of see
and win your way into a $1,000 guaranteed tournament on May 10th. Jenny, it's time for you to experience our closing song.
Yeah!
And Andrea, don't you dare end this live show until our closing song ends this week. You cut people off halfway through our closing song last week.
Tell me when.
Guys, it's a dance party. Let's do it.
When the song ends.
That's exactly what it is. Chris, you better stand up and dance.
I'm missing a rat. We got a little rat here dancing with us.
Oh, wait.
Right across the table?
I should have brought rat ears for you.
Oh, that would have been...
Oh, you should have totally brought him as a guest. He could have hung out right here on the...
I know. Well, next time.
So does he have to stay in a cage, or can he hang out?
I mean,
Is he kind of like a ferret?
She just hangs out on my shoulder in my pocket.
Just like a ferret that's not stretched out?
I mean, they can stretch out, yeah.
But not as much as a ferret.
No, I mean, they're like that big. They're not that big.
So a ferret's kind of like the
Ferret's
wiener
like
dog of rats.
Yeah, and a ferret smells like crazy. Rats don't smell.
They don't? Oh. There you go. Oh, good show, kid.
Did I bring it?
You brought it. Good